Imagine spending over 30 years in the deepest, darkest corners of the internet. That's the reality of an anonymous hacker who recently came forward to reveal the horrifying truths. He witnessed over decades on the dark web, with more experience than most cybersecurity professionals could ever dream of. This hacker claims that what exists on the dark web is far more dangerous than even nuclear weapons. On today's episode of Fact or Fake, we dive into the chilling confessions of a veteran hacker who exposed the twisted world hidden beyond the visible layers of the internet. For those unfamiliar, the dark web is not your everyday browsing space. While the surface web includes websites like Google, YouTube, or Netflix, the kind of content most people access daily, the dark web is an entirely different realm. It lives below the surface, beyond the reach of normal search engines, and requires special software, like Tor, to access. Though not inherently illegal, the dark web is notorious for being a haven for crime, data theft, black markets, weapon sales, and activities far more disturbing than most people could imagine. According to this hacker, the real nightmare isn't in what you see, it's in what you can't trace. He explained that he never tried to break into a company through the front door. Instead, he targeted employees, the weakest link in any security chain. By gaining access to staff members' device or login credentials, he could infiltrate massive corporations without triggering a single alarm. He emphasized that this is how many hackers operate today, by hacking people, not systems. This includes exploiting employees who bring personal devices to work, or remote workers accessing corporate servers from unsecured locations. If you're one of them, beware, you might just be the primary target. One of the most dangerous attacks he discussed is ransomware, a method that holds a victim's personal or corporate data hostage until a ransom is paid. The hacker revealed how malware is injected into a system, silently encrypting all files until access is denied. Victims are then forced to pay a hefty fee to regain their data. This isn't limited to big businesses. Everyday people with banking apps, private photos, or sensitive information can also fall prey. He warned that ransomware is rising dramatically worldwide and is now used not just by hackers, but by governments engaged in cyber warfare. In his interview with Vice, which lasted around 6 minutes, the hacker categorized the main types of hackers: black hats and white hats. Black hats are the villain cyber criminals who disregard laws and ethics in pursuit of money or power. White hats, on the other hand, work to protect systems, identify vulnerabilities, and prevent attacks. Interestingly, this anonymous hacker confessed that he once lived on the dark side. He was a black hat, but eventually he realized the harm he was causing and transitioned into a white hat role. Now, he works for major organizations, scanning their systems for flaws and tracking criminal activity. He studies attack patterns, reverse engineers the code, and exposes weak points, essentially using hacker psychology against other hackers. Despite now working on the side of good, he remains deeply concerned about the current state of cybersecurity. He noted that the scale and sophistication of ransomware attacks have grown to terrifying levels. He estimates that in 2023 alone, over $1 billion was paid in ransom across various cyber attacks, just the cases we know about. The real number may be far higher, and these aren't small-scale operations. Hospitals, for instance, are now primary targets. Why? Because hospitals handle life or death data, medical records, prescriptions, allergy information. If hackers lock out access, doctors can't treat patients. One wrong medication, one missing diagnosis, and lives can be lost. He described this as a terrifying reality. You either pay the ransom or you risk letting patients die. He recalled cases where hackers demanded up to $70 million to release critical data. What's worse, many of these operations are backed not just by criminal gangs but by governments. According to him, cyber attacks have become a form of digital warfare. Instead of tanks and missiles, countries now build hacker armies. With just a few $1,000s, a handful of computers, and a skilled team of coders, a country can paralyze another nation's infrastructure. Banks shut down, airports go offline, power grids crash, and information systems are wiped. The damage is swift, hard to trace, and potentially irreversible. He stressed that it used to cost countries hundreds of millions to conduct espionage now. All it takes is a small group of determined hackers and a well-written line of code. He warned that the dark web is full of these cyber warriors, often hired by corporations, governments, or even extremist groups. Their motives vary: money, ideology, revenge, but the consequences are the same: chaos. This hacker went on to say that in this new age, governments are scrambling to find protection. And who are they turning to? Ironically, hackers themselves. Only hackers know how hackers think, and many former black hats are now employed to defend nations from cyber terror. Yet he emphasized, the danger is far from over. These cyber weapons are arguably more devastating than nuclear bombs because they can cripple entire nations without firing a single shot. Imagine a scenario where a country loses access to all its financial systems, or where a nuclear plant is hacked and forced into meltdown. Now, imagine if those threats were happening simultaneously in multiple countries. That's the potential scale of cyber warfare. He didn't just speak theoretically. He described how hackers are already interfering with ship navigation systems, causing cargo vessels to go off course or vanish entirely. He talked about the risk of air traffic control being hacked, potentially leading to mid-air collisions. Every industry is vulnerable: healthcare, energy, transportation, communication, even agriculture. With everything connected digitally, no system is truly safe. His final warning was clear: the threat is growing. The hackers are better equipped, better funded, and more motivated than ever, and the world isn't ready. Most companies, even large ones, still treat cybersecurity as an afterthought, but the clock is ticking. The next global crisis may not be triggered by a missile or a virus, but by a line of code hidden deep within the dark web. And when that day comes, we may finally realize that this invisible war was far more dangerous than anything we've seen before. So, what do you think? Is the dark web just a digital myth? Or is it truly the most dangerous place on Earth? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into shocking true stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe. This is Fact or Fake, and we'll see you in the next video.